Hi everyone, welcome back to Tuesdays with Paula. I'm Paula K Bronte, your Master Rapid Eye Technician. And the question I have for you today is, where is your frustration level? What's your threshold for dealing with frustrating, stressful situations? So the Course in Miracles tells us we are either in love or in fear. And there's only gradations in between. Well, frustration definitely is on that fear side much more than it is on the love side. And it's right there as a flavor of anger. And so what frustrates you? I'd invite you to pause, or when we're done, make a list of 3 to 6 things that frustrate you. I know for me, the top of the list is going to be rushing. I've got this thing, the minute I feel rushed, my whole system, my adrenaline system rushes in and just goes nuts, right? I'm not a great candidate for rushing. So if rushing is one of the things for you, put that on the list. If how other people don't do what you want them to do is a frustration for you, put that on the list, because that's an important insight for you. Whatever it is that frustrates you, the way other people drive, it can be anything. But take a minute and really delve deep. And if you can't come up with at least 6 things, then just start observing yourself. And over this next week, make a list of those things that frustrate you. And it's important to do this because it's one of those things that can suck you into the quicksand of anger. Right? Anger is the owner of many faces. Anger shows up in a lot of ways. And so when we are in frustration, it's easy to spiral into anger. And from anger, we can often move into the lower frequencies, depression, if there's no resolution for it. And so what we want to do is introduce a pattern interrupt of some kind. And it's important to know what frustrates you, so that when you start identifying your level of frustration, you can say, okay, I'm going to use a pattern interrupt here, because otherwise it's going to own me. Instead of me saying, well, I feel frustrated, you probably say, I am frustrated. And the minute you say, I am, you own it, you claim it. It becomes the governing activity in your body at the moment. And so start noticing when you say, I am, whatever it is you don't want to be. And start switching that to I feel. If you use I am, you want it to be a positive, divine, affirming statement. If it's anything less than that, you want to say I feel. So when you start noticing you're frustrated, the first expression of it is I feel frustrated. And then take a moment and complete the sentence. I feel frustrated because. And peel off the layers and get down to the cause. Frustration is an effect. It's not a cause. Get down to the cause of the frustration. And then do a pattern interrupt. And I will give you one right now, one that we've done before. But if you're new to Tuesdays with Paula, this is a rapid eye tool that's called immediate release technique. And it begins with tapping. We're going to tap right here. I'm going to use the word frustration as a release. And then we're going to fill in what you'd rather have. So we're going to tap through the points, and the statement is I trade in my blank for blank. So I trade in my frustrated for what would you rather have? You can fill in anything you want. I'm going to use frustrated for, what do I want to feel? I've traded my frustrated for centered. Okay? So we're going to start right here. I'm moving your eyes side to side. That's the other piece of it. 3 pieces to this. Tapping, the statement, I traded my blank for blank, and moving your eyes left side, right side. It's an amazing, really quick pattern interrupt. So you're going to move your eyes side to side. You're going to move them down across your chest and up above while we go through this process. So tapping, side to side. I trade in my frustrated for centered. I trade in my frustrated for centered. I trade in my frustrated for centered. Come to your temples. I trade in my frustrated for centered. I trade in my frustrated for centered. I trade in my frustrated for centered. I traded my frustrated for peace. You want to keep one through the whole thing, but let's just change it up for today for demonstration's sake. I traded my frustrated for peace. No, I can already tell that peace is too far of a reach. Really tough to go from frustrated to peace. It's just too far. We're going to say, yeah, that's a bunch of bull. We're going to go back to centered. See what I mean? You want to work with it that way and see what you can really believe. That's possible. Peace from frustrated is probably not possible. Centered, you can breathe in and do this tapping and get more centered. I traded my frustrated for centered. I traded my frustrated for centered. I traded my frustrated for centered. I'm doing it 3 times on each spot to make sure that I'm tapping enough. I traded my frustrated for centered. 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 And when you're done, you squeeze tight open, tight open, tight open. Break state. And then 3 big breaths. Get that frustrated out of your body. That's it. Quick pattern interrupt. Your tapping points are here, 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 under your nose, under your lip, collarbones, under your arms. There's a tender spot, sides of your hands, and right there between the knuckle and the ring finger. While you're zigzagging your eyes and you're saying, I traded my blank for blank. And you can fill in anything. It doesn't have to be frustrated. However, frustration's up for the day, so I picked that one. All right, you've got an excellent pattern interrupt. You've got an awareness of what frustrates you. And so you can start to take control of it. If rushing frustrates you, find a way to make more time. If technology frustrates you, hire somebody else to do it. Okay. If what somebody else is doing frustrates you, learn boundaries. That's a whole nother Tuesdays with Paula. Okay, bless you all. I love you. Have a miraculous week. And use your IRT. It can help you have a better life. Love you. See you next week. Bye, everybody.